Good afternoon and welcome to Seniors Count. I am your host, Tula Mall. On our show, we believe that you are the foundation on which Boston was built. So our goal is to connect you to resources, benefits, and information to enhance your life. Thank you for joining us. My guest today is Julio Salado, a certified personal trainer, health blogger, and movement specialist. Today we're learning about the benefits of functional training with the help of one of his clients, Dr. Waldo Fielding, who maintains an active weekly exercise regimen. Welcome.
Thank you.
So glad to have you both.
Thank you.
We're glad to be here. Or I am, I don't.
So let's start, Julio, if you don't mind, talking a little bit about what you do, what the benefits are of exercise to seniors specifically.
Okay. First thing I want to say, when seniors are active, that's fantastic. Whether you're doing machine-based or aquatics, my suggestion is to keep at it. And what we're going to show today is movements that you may add to your workout that will complement what you're currently doing. So I don't want to minimize anything that anyone is doing right now for physical activity. My style of training, whether it's with Waldo or any other client, is basically working more muscles per movement. The human body can only move in three anatomical planes, but 7 movements. And I reteach that, and through that relearning process, we start to stabilize joints or get mobility in the hips. Posture improves, you lengthen muscles, and it helps with memory and increased brain activity and a lot of other benefits. But there is a learning curve. And,
talk a little bit about that learning curve. So, I mean, most people know that they have to exercise, right?
Right.
But it sounds like you're talking a little bit more technical about what maybe older adults should be doing. You know, you're talking about a little bit about balance and
Yes.
and these movements. So why don't you explore that a little bit?
So the learning curve will be, it's very different from where you sit on the machine, a selectorized machine, and you put the correct, you put your weight, resistance, and then you're doing leg extensions. With this, it will be something where maybe you're squatting or you're sitting, then standing, and after you stand, you will press. Another learning curve would be how to move laterally, which also is very important for functional movement. That's something that I teach. How to move rotary, how to do a hip exercise, not a knee exercise. And after you learn these 7 movements, then we can add resistance.
So it sounds like you're talking about movement, like you mentioned, you said the word functional.
Yes.
So you're talking about movement that is going to enhance their life. So this
Right.
isn't about bodybuilding or weight loss. It's about increasing the muscles or whatever it is that you need in order to continue to live an independent life.
That's pretty much on point, but some of the benefits will be weight loss, can be, because the more muscles you recruit, regardless at the age, you're going to burn more calories because it takes more calories to sustain muscle than it does fat. An example would be another client. I've been with him for 6 years. He's lost over 80 pounds. Oh, wow. Took him 6 years, and he started at 76, but he's lost the weight, and obviously that's a complete lifestyle change. So there are a lot of benefits by incorporating specific movements you can do at home or you can do in the gym.
He's not talking about me losing all that weight.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about you. What got you, or what introduced you to Fitness Foundry and Julio? Why did you come to
Well, I
him?
didn't know anything about Fitness Foundry. I just was referred to Julio at the YMCA, Huntington Y, and it was a happy meeting.
Relationship, yeah.
It was interesting that he said certain muscles will be trained. Now with me, he had to go find those muscles because I'm a little bit too old. And anyway, it's been 6 years,
Wow.
and we have enjoyed each other. I don't think he's enjoyed me as much as I've enjoyed him, but I would never tell him that.
So 2 questions to follow up.
Go.
One was, you mentioned your age, and I think it's important for our audience to know how old you are, because I think it's unbelievable. I would never guess that.
Well, I'm 92.
And you've been with Julio for 6 years.
Correct. And I know I'm 92 because last year I was 91.
Yeah, that's good. And so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And before you started, I don't know if we want to call it training or,
Training.
with Julio, were you into fitness or
Oh, well,
what
I
were
was
you doing?
into athletics,
Okay.
tennis and golf.
Oh.
But as my age increased and the bones began to be creaking, I was not able to play tennis anymore. And because of my balance, I was not able to play golf either. The swing would throw me into the river or wherever I was. So that's why I had to do something else. Instead of competitive athletics, I had to do what I'm doing with Julio now.
Right. So I know that later on we're going to demonstrate some of these movements that Julio is
Hopefully,
teaching.
yeah.
But what improvements have you seen in yourself since in your training?
Well, I have lost a lot of weight.
Oh.
I don't know that it's due to Julio. It's because of my diet. I'm very conscious of that. And I have lost 20 pounds.
Wow. In the
So
past
I'm
6
down
years.
to a little below 160 now.
Okay.
And I was a little bit close to 180. And did I say 180? Yeah, that's right. And so I'm...
So besides weight loss, what else have you seen or noticed in your movement, daily movement that's been improved?
Well, that's difficult for me to expound on,
Okay.
except the fact that all my daily movements I do. And I suppose at my age there are some I wouldn't do. My main problem is my balance. If I turn quickly, I'm off balance, and I know that. And Julio works on it.
What have you noticed about the changes in Dr. Fielding?
Well, with any clients, but anybody in particular, you always have preconditions. So, and I also factor that in along with what you did for a job, whether it was seated or standing, and what type of activity. So with him, he had surgery on his left shoulder. So right off the bat, I knew that we needed to work on shoulder mobility, et cetera, and that would affect his posture and his reaching ability. And the second part, I knew that he was an avid golfer. So with all my clients, but particularly with him, he has muscle memory with rotary movement. So to this day, he still does rotary exercises. He's not necessarily doing a golf swing, which I always offer.
Yeah, well,
but
one of them is a golf swing.
yeah, so he still does the same movements he used to do in the past with his own, his own time. That's, again, is tapping into muscle memory. The improvements I've seen is that he can catch himself. His reaction time is better. So say if you're walking on black ice or something like that, his ability to react is much better. His strength is definitely very good. He can manage his own body weight. He can do push-ups, and he does more than that. And when he does resistance training, he uses different exercise equipment. So I see a lot of, and he just doesn't talk about it, a lot of improvements in not only his gait and his strength, but also mobility, which is very important for seniors. Yeah.
Something that we talked about a little bit before the show that I wanted to share with our audience is you talked about how the way that you teach fitness has to do a lot with building brain cells. So I know, can you talk a little bit about how the type of exercise that you teach prevents dementia, memory loss, and Alzheimer's?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that. So
That's different.
yeah.
Temporary loss and Alzheimer's.
Okay, well,
Two
temporary
different
loss,
things,
yeah.
True. And then there are when individuals have balance issues, it can either be a degenerative from a vestibular condition, or it could be a middle ear condition. So when one is structural, all I can do with them is help manage what's currently happening with their balance. So improvement is always subjective, but if they're able to do something consistently after periods of months, where before they would be thrown off, then I would say they're managing their balance, the balance challenge better than if they were not.
Okay.
So Waldo can speak about that. The further you're away from doing specific movements, the more likely you are to regress back to where you were prior to working out. So it's like the old saying, use it or lose it. If you are not working out your upper body, then your upper body will atrophy, not your whole up, but your muscles.
Yeah, the muscles.
The same thing with brain activity. So brain activity exercises would be like if he's sitting and standing, I'm gonna have him stand up and press with one hand something that he's balancing on his fist.
So to focus on more than just the single movement.
Right. It can also be an exercise where I have them doing an inline walk. A lot of people do that too, step, heel to toe, or crossover steps, which requires lower body awareness, where you are in the center of gravity and a lot of other stuff.
So I think that's so interesting because a lot of times people, when they think of exercise, just think about just doing the physical part of it, and they don't forget that there's a mental part of it.
There's a breathing part to it too.
And the breathing.
And the way I felt originally, my get up and go had got up and went. So that he sort of brought that back to me. So that I now go, sometimes I don't even want to go to see him. But the lady that I live with wants me out of the house anyway.
Yeah.
So I go.
How long is a typical workout?
Between 3/4 and an hour.
Okay, so about an hour. And some of these exercises you're going to show us in a little bit, do they require equipment for people to do them at home?
No, the one I'm going to show is we're just going to use a chair, and if you have a wall, then you can start these body weights. I will show one partnered exercise for balance.
Oh, great.
For people who have like vestibular conditions again. And yeah, you can start that today.
Do you practice at home with your...
No, I have enough.
You just do enough.
As a matter of fact, today I finished with him about an hour before I'm going to appear here.
Oh, so you got your workout in.
Well, I'm not asleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's great. Why don't you give us just a little verbal introduction to what we're going to do. We're going to take the break in about a minute.
Okay.
And what you're going to show us.
What I'm going to show you is basically functional movement again, which is everybody sits and stands, obviously. So I'm going to show you how to use the chair to work multiple muscle groups, multiple joints, and then we're going to do some wall exercises. My whole style of training is I like to do unilateral training, meaning I will work one side of the body, one leg at a time, or one arm. Rather than always doing it bilateral because individuals can compensate. So I'm going to show you variations, how to start and progress it or regress it.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to doing that. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with a demonstration.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hey everybody! Heart disease affects 1 in every 3 women in America, but you can fight back. There's no time to lose. Mothers, sisters, daughters, families, and friends, it's time to shout louder, stand stronger, and demand change. Let's go!
To the Batmobile. Dang it.
To the invisible jet!
Dang it.
Together, we can put an end to heart disease. It's time to go red for women. I could use your help. Yeah! Learn more from the American Heart Association at www.goredforwomen.org.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams.
Michael Adams.
Students who miss 18 days of school in any grade risk falling behind and not graduating. Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today.
Kids will spend 57 minutes making me go splat.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Welcome back to Seniors Count. I'm here with personal trainer Julio Salado and one of his clients, Dr. Waldo Fielding. And Julio's going to show us a demonstration as to some of the exercises that you can do at home.
Julio's going to talk about it. I'm going to show you.
Yes, that's right.
That's
the physical
the
part,
deal.
and he's going to, yes. Thank you.
So basically what I'm going to show is some exercises you can do at home, and Waldo's going to do 5 repetitions of just sitting and standing. And you will show me. So sit and stand, your squat.
I knew that was going to happen.
Oh.
You want to attach it?
Yep, I'm going to reattach it.
Okay.
Not being fresh.
What would you like?
We're going to do sit and stand without using anything to sit up. So it's just your basic squats like we normally do. So he sits, yep, and then stand, and then you stand at attention. Right, just your basic. We'll do 5 more. And so this is functional. He's not having any support. When he stands, he's standing at attention, meaning standing tall, and he squeezes his glutes. This is something that we do on a daily basis.
Tell him what glute is.
It's your hip muscles, your butt, your bum.
That's what I thought.
Just do 1 more. And then when he stands at attention, that helps with his posture too. So his body weight training is what I'm going to show now. The next thing I'm going to have him do, do you have any questions on that?
No, that's a good demonstration. I mean, that's a perfect example of something that everyone does every single day, and
Right.
it requires a lot of different muscles. You don't think about that, but right?
One thing I forgot to mention is when you're doing a leg-based exercise or something that's knee dominant, can you do this for me one more, Waldo? You have to emphasize driving through your heel and pushing through your midfoot.
Sit down, is that it?
Yeah, so have your feet hip width apart like you normally will, toes pointing forward.
What do you want now?
Just your basic squat, up, and then you stand up again. So he's driving through his heels and he's standing at attention. And we have a little
Technical.
That's okay. So that's important to note on that, so we don't rock into the ball of the feet. If you do that, you can have knee pain, and then you can also throw you off balance. That applies also when you're walking upstairs. You want to do heel, midfoot, and that's what I highly
How
recommend.
many of those do you recommend someone doing at home?
Do 10 repetitions.
10 repetitions, and then they can move on to the next exercise?
Yeah, so from there we're going to do an upper body exercise. So we'll come over here.
Over where?
To the wall. And you're going to do your wall clocks. So these are wall push-ups with a little variation. He has one hand up, pretend it's a giant clock. It's at 3 o'clock, and then 7, and then 11, and 5. Doing this type of movement, it's a little reactive movement to it. So he's pushing off the wall. When he has one hand high and the other one low, he's working one shoulder blade, and one other shoulder blade is down. Obviously, he also works his core. He's not allowing his hips to drop or sag or anything like that. And the progression to this will be he would just step back more on an angle.
Okay.
And this is fantastic for people who are trying to improve their rounded shoulders because that assists in pulling back.
Okay.
Stretching will only take you so far. That's good, my friend. He's on fire.
And how many of those do you recommend someone do at home?
You can do 10. So we can just do 10 reps for everything. It will be left and right as 1 repetition.
Okay.
If that helps. So Waldo's next going to do, we'll do your lateral squat. So if we turn around, that's when you step and you get your inner thigh stretch. This requires a little bit more technical thinking, and then you come back towards me. He's good. Good, and then actually scoot a little bit to your right so you can come back this way. This is, again, this is what I mean by movement and a learning curve. So to do this exercise, he knows completely that when he steps, do that one, his knee and his foot are completely tracking. Thank you.
What does that mean, tracking?
Meaning his knee is not turning out.
Okay, so keeping it
Yes, lined up.
ahead. Mm-hmm.
And then he'll do his left. Now,
so this is working the muscles along the side of the body.
Inner thighs,
Inner
adductors.
thighs,
A lot of individuals these days have tight hamstrings from sitting.
Yep.
So one way we get the hamstrings by working your inner thighs and stretching it. That's balance. So when you're stepping, then you're coming back, that's
and
balance.
then catching yourself whenever you do slip. That's usually people catch themselves by going to the side.
And the awesome part about these type of movements, like the seated squat and this, I can give Waldo some dumbbells, and he can do a side raise and other variations. What I'm trying to say is after you learn movement, then you can add resistance or anything like that.
Okay.
So next thing we're going to do is a hip hinge.
Pardon me?
Good morning. Your good mornings.
Good morning.
He's going to do 5 repetitions. So this is very important. I suggest to start this with a wall behind you, and your goal is to try to have your hips touch the wall. And if it's easy to touch the wall, you will step forward and become tall, Waldo. That's 1 repetition.
Why do you call it good morning?
There is a particular exercise in barbell training where you have a barbell and it's placed up here and it's called a good morning.
Oh, okay.
So he just took a
In
liking
this
to the name good
exercise,
morning.
I'm not supposed to feel the back.
Yes.
Just the thighs.
Oh, okay.
Hamstrings and glutes and maybe calves because his mobility. That's completely hip dominant.
Okay.
Everything else I've showed you so far is knee dominant. Many people, about 80% of individuals who, especially, particularly seniors, they don't do hip exercises. And doing hip exercises help lessen back tightness and other preventable conditions.
Okay.
Just to give you a heads up.
And then, so you, if you were to do that, you do about 10 of those, right?
10.
How could you increase the intensity?
Okay, so if he was doing this movement to set up again, I would give him a body bar or resistance.
Someone could use a broom, maybe,
A broom.
broomstick.
And yeah, pretend you have, remember how I give you the, the bar will have to stay across your feet. So become tall, this is good. So cross your feet, right? He knows.
What do you want from me
Pretend
now?
you're holding the bar.
That's what I was doing.
Okay. And
What do you want me to
And then
do
go
now?
on.
The same
And do
thing?
your good morning with the bar. So his bar will be across his feet, which is very, very important.
Yeah.
If it's forward of the body, then it will go to the low back, and then he can do a reverse curl and push
Yeah.
overhead, which he's familiar. So multiple muscles, multiple joints, and there's a learning curve in that.
Yeah.
You know. Want me to do another
Yeah,
one?
what else do you got for us?
So this is a little bit more challenging. I'm going to have Waldo do an about face, because he was in the service. You're familiar with that term, about face. There you go. Fingertips touch. We're going to do your crossover step. So this is a lateral movement, but he's going to have some hip rotation because he's going to step. Let's do, yes. So that's a crossover step.
Wow.
Stop, please, and then we'll come back home. We'll come back this way. He's not using the wall because he is very confident. Nice job. That was
Good.
awesome.
That's great. So how long did it take for
You can turn around.
Waldo to get to that point? How long did it take for you to
I
get
told
to
you I've been
that?
with him 6 years.
Okay.
It's not that long, but it's progressive. Before he started doing crossover, he learned how to do lateral steps.
Okay.
You know, and then obviously start with certain particular movements.
That's the amazing thing I found out about by working with Julio. If I were to do something by myself, it would be wrong because he works me from exercise to exercise in his fashion, which allows me to do things I couldn't do if I went from one to, let's do this one. Yeah. No, it's all beautifully integrated.
Well, it's been so great having you guys. Dr. Fielding, you're amazing. I mean, your abilities compared to other folks that I know that are approximately your age.
You could have been my patient. I was just a gynecologist.
And Julio, this is amazing work you're doing.
Thank you.
If people wanted to talk to you more, do you have a website, or
Yes,
how can they?
it's fitnessfoundry.net or .com. My email will be attached to that. I have free information, videos, articles, blogs, events.
Great.
And I'll be more than happy to help.
And you can always call the Elderly Commission, and we could definitely connect you with Julio. He's been so kind to be here today, and it was so great meeting you both. And
It was my pleasure.
Wish you the best of luck. Thanks for watching Seniors Count, brought to you by the Mayor of Boston, Mayor Marty Walsh, and our Commissioner Emily Shea. To contact us, please call 617-635-4366 or the Mayor's 24-hour hotline at 617-635-4500. Or you can email us at elderly@boston.gov, and you can definitely find us on Facebook. Have a great afternoon.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself,